All right, everybody, welcome into episode 96 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports, the only sports podcast to talk about both American and Brazilian sports. I'm Nicole, live as always from Chattanooga, Tennessee, of the United States. And joining me from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, on this late Monday night is Gustavo Tomazeli. Gus, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I was trying to find a picture of Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium to put on my background since I'm all kind of inspired by the Bucks, and I have family that lives on the Tampa Bay metro area, so I'm a little bit Tampa Bay Bucks fans, even though I still love the Jets. I still am a I like the Jets, but I was hoping I think I found one, and so I'm gonna replace my background. But it's really hot in Brazil. Jesus Christ, Brazil is on a like a heat, like some sort of a heat moment that I never seen before. It's really hot,
Well, that's
really hot.
crazy, man. It's only, the start of spring there, so it only gets hotter from here down there.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, here it's still pretty warm, but it's no longer humid, and that is a huge, huge difference. At least here in the South, because we're in just now entering in the fall here
Uh,
in
so,
Tennessee.
do you like my background now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm right
You're from the
outside.
South here, Gus. Do you know what that is?
The
Bucky's, yeah,
Bucky's.
yeah.
And I'm
So
right outside Raymond James Stadium where the Buccaneers scored a touchdown by Mike Evans.
yeah, but they do trail by two touchdowns. We have two Monday Night Football games going on. Eagles lead 25-11. I wonder if that's a scoregami. We'll have to talk
Yeah.
about another scoregami that happened yesterday in the state of Florida. Uh,
So I'll tell you, but you follow the Bengals game. I follow the Bucks game.
yeah, well, actually, I have both. I have YouTube
Oh,
TV, so
I
I have the
forgot that
full
you.
fusion. So I'm
I
literally
forgot.
watching both games.
Oh, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah. So it's awesome. I've got my desk right here, computer, and I have the TV I have the Eagles Bucks on the left. There's 3 minutes left there. And then Rams Bengals 6-6 beginning of the third quarter. And man, the the Bengals offense, it's just well, I'll tell you what it is. I think Joe Burrow should have sat out the first few weeks this season. He clearly is not himself right now. He's missing throws that he normally would not miss. And I mean, it's not like Joe Burrow forgot how to play football. I mean, Joe Burrow is still an elite quarterback. There's why he got paid over the highest contract in the history of the NFL. Um, but he's just not healthy right now, and I think the Bengals
And,
are
and, and he
risking.
dealt with injuries like that before. 2020 he was basically ruled out completely. Like I know he
Right.
came back in 2021 and he was a change maker and probably had a tremendous season, but he wasn't like that he never dealt with injuries before as a Bengal.
Yeah, and I think it's a 17 game season. I think you have to protect your star players because I mean, yes, you don't want to start 0-3, but if you start 0-3 anyway with him playing, you're just giving him unnecessary damage. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Although the Bengals defense is playing pretty good themselves, although you have to wonder how much of that's on the Rams offense. And obviously, they're still missing Cooper Cup, and they had the whole Cam Akers situation. So it just very interesting to see how this will play out because remember this is a Super Bowl rematch from the year before last. So 6-6 there, and of course the Eagles pretty close to finishing up a win to go to 3-0. And in that one, I'll definitely say that the Eagles defense definitely showed up to play tonight. They made Baker Mayfield's night a living hell, and the Eagles. I'll say I'm getting to the point where I really want to see that push play from the Eagles band. It's just too automatic on every single goal line play and every single fourth and short that I don't know. I feel like it's too OP of a play. but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It's just mm, like, but I'm still feeling like Tampa Bay has a chance. They score right now. I feel like I don't know. I think they have a chance to come back, and I'm surprised by the crowd on Raymond James Stadium. It's a really interesting crowd. I know
Yeah,
there's a
I
lot of
mean,
I know there's a lot of Eagles fans.
yeah, I mean, it's Eagles fans are everywhere. It's one of the largest fan bases in the entire country. So there's be Eagles fans everywhere, and I don't think the Eagles come to Nashville this year. I imagine that honestly would be more Eagles fans than Titans fans, given uh, how bad the team is right now. But we'll get into that in just a moment. But I want to get into a couple of non-game stuff first in the NFL and the talk of the sports universe. Really, honestly, the top of the talk of the pop culture universe. Taylor Swift, pop superstar. She has been on the Eras tour all year, literally breaking concert tour records left and right. I mean, basically creating her own economy. I mean, she might be the most powerful pop superstar since at least Michael Jackson, maybe since Elvis Presley. I mean, the what she is doing is unprecedented, frankly. Um, and now and obviously we've never really had much reason to talk about her. Oh my God, that was almost a pick by the Bengals. But anyway, never really had much reason to talk about her in this show because obviously she's in music and it's not a music podcast, but she has crossed over into our world because she is dating Travis Kelsey, one of the best, if not the best tight end of all time. Showed up to the Kansas City game, hung out in the Kelsey family box, and was seen leaving the stadium with none other than Travis Kelsey. I mean, this is, I think, a huge deal for football because I've been talking to some like non-sports people who are huge like Swifties, and all of a sudden they are now heavily invested in the Kansas City Chiefs. Like this is like Colorado. This is the next step in the casuals. Like for the first part of the season, it's been all about Deion Sanders and Colorado. Now it's going to be about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. Oh, I think you're muted.
Now I am muted, but one thing I, as a Chiefs fan, will hope is that, as Taylor Swift, that if you want to break up with him and she has the right to do so, she feels like it, do it after February. Like, do it after February because breakups with Taylor Swift are never, calm and with Taylor Swift is she's known to be a very kind of controversial ex girlfriend.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, just look at the Jake Gyllenhaal situation. Of course, she wrote a 10-minute song about that, right? All too well, which I mean, I think is a fantastic song. But regardless of that, um, you know, I don't anticipate it messing with Travis Kelsey's ability to play the football. I mean, he still played a Travis Kelsey game.
But I think
Yeah,
I think it can be a distraction. Like, I that's what I worry about. I know I'm not being on the hype train, but that's for the Chiefs fans, for the rivals, I would have been the opposite. I'll be like, hey, I don't care, but I'm just saying that I wish all the best for the new couple. And if you are meeting the mother, that means that's big, in Brazil, in America, whatever.
right. And I'm just curious to see what it does to ticket sales because Travis Kelsey's jersey sales have gone up 400% in the last day. He is now the second most popular jersey after Tua Tagovailoa, and you got to wonder how many of those jersey sales are from Swifties. And now Swifties, I mean, Swifties will do anything to be within a half mile of Taylor Swift. I mean, you're going to have Swifties showing up and buying tickets to football games if they think there's a chance Taylor Swift's in the press box somewhere. Like ticket sell. I mean, and ticket prices for the Chiefs are already high, right? Because I mean, for football fans, I mean, the Chiefs are a dynasty. at the moment. You have the best
Yeah.
quarterback in the league and Patrick Mahomes. And now you're going to add the Taylor Swift factor. It's going to be hard, I think, to get into Kansas City games the rest of the season.
Imagine the like suites and stuff like that. We're gonna go through the roof because
Oh,
you
yeah.
know if they're already expensive. Imagine like, hey, I have a luxurious box or a suite at the Arrowhead Stadium, and Taylor Swift might be nearby. People pay big bucks to be there.
I mean, there's going to be some celebrities showing up now that wouldn't otherwise show up. It's like the Colorado effect, but now in Kansas City. So unlike Colorado, though, I think Kansas City though will continue to play some really really good football. Just very interesting to see the non-sports fans now interested in Kansas City. So going to be fascinating
I
to watch.
I just I don't know, people. I've been this debate in Brazil because in Brazil, especially when the Super Bowl comes, all the people that don't care about football at all tune in to watch the halftime show, of course. But even the media, the pop media talks about it, and I hate that because it's like, you have your lane, I have my lane. I bet there's football fans that kind of feel like I'm feeling right now. There's like, don't come into my world and mess it up.
Right. And I mean, I know that's been the complaint of like Colorado all year. Is the media attention has not been about the football. It's been about everything off the field. And it's been a
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff that isn't about the sport. Um, so we'll see um, if it does indeed provide that distraction. Because on Sports Center all week, they're going to have a Taylor Swift section. It's gonna be like, I mean, Taylor Swift's going to be like LeBron. They're going to have like a Taylor Swift section on a little ticker at the bottom for the 10 people that still watch ESPN during the day. I mean, seriously though, if you're still watching First Take, what are you doing? First and foremost, you don't have a job. I mean, like anyone with a job doesn't have time to watch like the Undisputed or whatever. But like, I mean, man, it makes no sense.
No, like no, definitely. I'm surprised that the pop media haven't covered that yet, but I bet it's gonna be. And
Oh
I'm
no,
gonna
they're
try.
all over it. They're all over it.
Let me see if I can find any Brazilian articles about it. Because is that one thing that annoys me is that the Brazilian sports media, they're okay-ish, but sometimes they talk so much shit about American sports. Jesus Christ.
Well, it sounds like it. Half the time, I don't even know what team is what. I mean, they called them
Yeah,
Titans.
yeah, like AKA people that a Brazilian ESPN that broadcast college football. Please study the teams. Please invest. You're getting paid for that. Please, for the love of God, at least get the name of the teams right. Oh, the Titans are no. It's the Volunteers, not the Titans. There's a difference of the color of the jersey. That's not blue. That's orange. Ah,
Although we will be in black this weekend against South Carolina.
yeah, no, it's a beautiful. I mean, I love though. I remember they play kind of like that on the Halloween.
Oh yeah, against Kentucky last year. I was at that game and it was amazing.
Yeah,
So we'll see
I
what they
think
do.
also against they had a night game also. I think I don't remember if it was like I think it was South Carolina 2019 too. They play
Yeah.
with black jerseys.
Yeah, and in 2009 they did, and I think they played South Carolina 2021 during the day in black jerseys as well. So, and they're undefeated in the black jerseys, so maybe they can keep that going. But you mentioned Super Bowl halftime show, and I want to bring this up because it's actually going to have some pretty interesting meaning to Chattanooga this year because Usher Raymond, songs like Yeah, DJ Goss Falling in Love, he'll be our halftime show this year, and he spent the vast majority of his childhood here in Chattanooga. And in fact, I have a relative that actually was his 7th grade music teacher and gave him singing lessons. And now he is going to be singing at the Super Bowl. And And I like all personally, man, I don't have a ton of Usher on my playlist. I don't listen to him a ton, but still, like,
I Usher was a musician and a singer that kind of came really close to my generation. I mean, I love the Alicia Keys song that they both sang together. I think it was back in 2004, 2005. My Boo, that's one of the songs I
yeah,
love.
that's a good song. Yeah,
Yeah, 2004. Come closer. So Usher was a big deal for me, especially in the mid 2000s.
absolutely. I mean, especially when you're dancing in a club, right? That's where
Oh,
Usher really pops. And, you know, and what's funny is like here in Chattanooga, there was a debate for a long time whether or not we should claim him because what happened is he moved to Atlanta, was in high school, and that's when his music career really began to take off. Was in Atlanta, and the people managing him were really pushing this narrative that he's from Atlanta, not Chattanooga. But in the past couple of years, he's really made a point to come back and give back to his community
nice.
back in Chattanooga. So I think both Chattanooga and Atlanta can claim him. I mean, this whole thing, because some people try to start a war between Chattanooga and Atlanta, which makes no sense. I mean, there's two vastly different places.
And also be stupid. They don't have any sports rivalry. Like there's no like Mox and the like Georgia Tech, Chattanooga Mox, or their soccer teams don't play. There's nothing that will create a rivalry that I
I mean,
can
you can
think
make the
about.
argument that, in a sense, we're just a very extended suburb of Atlanta. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people that live up in this area that go to Atlanta and work every day. I don't know why they do that, but they do.
Oh, good luck with I-75. Good luck.
Yeah, I seventy
I-70.
five is a disaster every single day. But
Oh yeah, been
I got
there, been there.
but I did that story. I did a story on that today. Was very very cool to learn that story. And yeah, just it's cool. Just I never would have thought that, like, I would have had a familiar tie to a Super Bowl halftime act. So that's pretty
And
awesome.
you're gonna have to interview them his music teacher, because maybe he inspired Usher to be where he is right now.
That's who I talked to, was my music teacher. I heard
Nice,
my
nice,
like my so basically it's my dad's cousin was his music
nice,
teacher.
nice.
So yeah, because he went to middle
Maybe
school here.
maybe we can bring it to the pod, and he can talk to to the kind of like our audience about that. Would be an interesting kind
Honestly,
of.
maybe in February, like when the Super Bowl comes around, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Um,
true.
yeah, but anyway, I think it'll be an interesting show out in Vegas on February the 11th, and plus it'll be on our news station, News 12, because we are CBS. So another,
Nice.
so just all kinds of cool there. A nice, cool story. Unfortunately, this next segment not nice and cool though, because it's our good friend Antonio Brown. Uh, uh,
When
doing
any time that somebody brings Antonio Brown to the story, it's not like it's never nice or something amazing he did. Antonio Brown controversy.
So basically, and there's really not a lot to this because I don't completely understand why he's doing this, but he posted a picture of Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada in a Hitler mustache, and then called him uh, Matt or Adolf Canada. Like I don't understand what point he's trying to make.
I don't know if I'm wrong or not. I'm genuinely curious. Like, because if this happened in Brazil, Matt Canada would have been able to sue and even maybe imprison Antonio Brown because he's literally um, uh, accusing Matt Canada of associated with Nazi, and literally he's just an offensive coordinator. You can talk about the debate that if he's good or not good, or but he's basically associating a guy who's doing a job with a person that had doing stuff that is despicable. But Antonio Brown needs to face consequences for his actions. That's why I won as a football owner, owner of a football team, disaster, but never face consequences. As a parent, oh my god, I mean, as a companion, but I feel bad for him. He was a talented football player that unfortunately kind of went off the rails, and now he's only associated with controversy and stuff that is derogatory.
Yeah, I mean he's just not completely there, and I don't know if libel or slander would apply. I mean, he's not like an official news source, but I mean he has such a reach, and he has so much notoriety that if I'm at Canada, maybe I do look into that, right? Because you're making the accusation that I'm racist, and with no evidence, right? You just it really makes zero sense to post it, and I think it's just obvious sign of CTE, and that's really what it is, and it's really sad because he's just the way he ran his arena football team, the way he ran his music career. I mean, it's just falling apart. I'm afraid that's not going to have a good ending. So anyway, let's get into some actual football though, because and actually I do want to say that being so we do have a final in Philly. Philly wins 25-11 in Tampa over the
Wow,
Bucks.
already? Here is a 2 minute warning here.
Yeah, I know the game already ended on my end. So
Oh my god! So I guess I'm really on a delay.
yeah, you are way behind. And the Bengals just took the lead, 13-9 on the Joe Mixon touchdown run. So maybe Joe Burrow isn't working, but Joe Mixon is, so he'll take it in. 13-9, Rams getting the ball back late in the third. All right. I think the biggest story from Sunday or yesterday, the Cardinals upsetting the Dallas Cowboys and our boy Joshua Dobbs. You got to give him credit. I think he's playing really well right now for the Arizona Cardinals because people left this team for dead, saying they were obviously going to be the worst team in the league. I don't think they're close to the worst team in the league. I mean, they're not a playoff team, but they're not the worst team in the league.
Yeah, but this game was more on the indictment of Dallas ceiling than probably Arizona ceiling. What I mean by that is that everybody was hyping up the Dallas Cowboys 2-0, but think about it. They Dallas faced both New York teams that are mess. They face the Giants that literally has no online, no protection. Daniel Jones, is an average quarterback with a massive contract, and the Jets, without Aaron Rodgers, is just the same Jets of last year, inconsistent. With Zach Wilson play hero ball and with not much efficiency. So now they face a true challenge on the road, and that's why you can't say for sure, oh, the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders because of stuff games like that.
Right. And, as I said preseason, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, you got to prove to me you're going to be able to win in the postseason. And once again, when you look at Dak Prescott, only one touchdown pass, a QBR of only 41.2. They ran the ball well. Of course, Tony Pollard ran 5 yards, and they ran it 23 times. So they ran it a ton. But I think the most concerning thing is their defense. And obviously, they lost Trayvon Diggs at corner, but still, that doesn't explain why they gave up 222 yards rushing to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, if you have to play like San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey will eat you alive if you don't get it together on the rushing defense. So that I think right now is my number one concern with Dallas because the defense looked amazing for those first 2 weeks, but as you said, none of one of those offenses from New York are very good, and we'll have to see when Dallas continues to play better competition if they falter some.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy for Joshua Dobbs. I mean, as a Titans fan, I'm not saying he playing badly last year. I mean,
He's playing better than Ryan Tannehill is right now.
yeah, no question about it.
Yeah, and let's bring up the Titans here real quick because I think it's time to tank. It's time to blow it up. I mean, if you can't get 100 yards in a single game. I mean, there's just no hope with the core. I mean, they're not even using Derrick Henry.
Wow.
They literally. Oh yeah, see the Bengals just got a turnover.
But no, did you saw that pass?
from Stafford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I was looking away at it, and of course they're doing the choreographed. I tell you, these celebrations are getting more and more creative. Um, let's see here. I need to see the replay because I was totally looking at the computer and not the
Oh,
TV.
now the Bengals. I am at 4:57. The Bengals just got an interception.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that was just a really unlucky deflection for Matthew Stafford. But it
But
feels
back
like
on the
they can't run the ball at all. Like, and they got rid of Cam Akers for no real reason. And yeah, they can't
oh
run the
what
ball.
I love that dance. Now I saw the dance that you mentioned. But back on the Titans, Ryan Tannehill. I know he had 100 yards total, but less than 50% of completion attempted ratio. This game was more like Deshaun Watson be like, oh, I got two touchdowns, almost 300 yards. But yeah, that's true. Like, but okay, the Titans are gonna tank. So, well, what's the plan? To get a player or try to use Will Levis.
I mean, okay, so we have to think about did they plan on tanking? I don't think they did. That if you were tanking, you don't go out and try to get DeAndre Hopkins, right?
Yeah,
Um, so you gotta start thinking about okay, who can you rebuild around in the future? I think you keep a guy like Jonathan Simmons, for example. You keep him. You try to keep like a Kevin Byard. I think you try to keep the defense together as best as you can. The offense is where you go full send tank. I think Derrick Henry. I mean, I love the guy. He's been amazing for us. It's time if you're not going to use him. They literally had him on the field like 10 times in the first half. And Tyler J. Spears was getting more snaps. I was baffled watching it. I didn't understand it watching it. And if we're not going to use him, ship him off to a team that's actually going to use him because I would love to see him actually get a chance to go out to a Super Bowl. Because he has given this organization everything, and frankly, I mean, it's just not going to happen here. So I think that needs to happen. The rest of these wide receivers stink anyway. DeAndre Hopkins is trying, but when you're the only good receiver on the roster, you're going to get blanketed every single week. Traylon Burks has had one good play in 3 games. So, I mean, he's not doing anything. Of course, we're still playing Nick Westbrook-Akeen, and Ryan Tannehill is still preferring to go to Nick Westbrook-Akeen for some asinine reason. Play after play, it just doesn't make sense. He's not any good. But the fact that we are still playing him in significant roles shows that we are such an unserious franchise. And this offensive line, holy cow. I mean, Andre Dillard, I don't know if it could get any worse than Dennis Daly, but Andre Dillard, he's in that realm of bad. I mean, holy cow. I mean, the line right now is awful. And you know it's bad when your best O lineman is Peter Gronkowski, your first round pick, and he's not even playing right now because he's hurt. So, and you have to start questioning the coaching here. And I've been a big fan of Mike Vrabel. He's done a lot of good things, but he's 1-9 in his last 10 games. At some point, you got to point the finger at him because he's worked miracles in the past, and they're just not anymore. It's just not working. The offense sucks. It's unappealing to watch. This team is not fun to watch. It's getting to the point where I'd rather just watch Red Zone, just to not watch a full Titans game because it makes me want to gouge my eyes out watching the Tennessee Titans. Oh, I think you're muted.
That bad? I mean,
Yeah, it's bad. It's awful. Like, I mean, I'd rather go do 1,000 other things right now than watch the Titan offense play. Outside of like one good half of football last year against Los Angeles Chargers, they have been awful now, dating back to the middle of last season. I mean, this is the same offense that can only score like 6 points against Houston. That could, just completely choked away a division that should have been easily won. I mean, think about this. They lost 7 straight games in a row last year and still had a chance in the fourth quarter, in the final game, to win a division. No excuse not to be in the postseason last year, but yet, they certainly found a way. Um, yeah, as a, I mean, it's a nuclear option because I mean, there's two extremes, right? Because we'll bring this up too about the Broncos giving up 70 points to Miami. I mean, there's two extremes. The Broncos didn't attempt to play defense yesterday. The Titans didn't attempt to play offense, and this offense is just so constrained. It's so tight that I think you just need to complete an utter rehaul. A rehaul. I think I would try to see what you can get for Ryan Tannehill. Let Levis and Willis take turns. See what they can do. See if there's any future in Will Levis at all, which I heavily doubt. And if there's no answer there, there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out next year. There's a lot. And I don't think that would be the only answer. We're clearly going to need to get some receivers. You're going to need to get some more offensive linemen. You're going to need a full-on change. At least, thankfully, Tajay Spears, I think, is actually going to be a really good asset in this offense once he is used properly. And right now, he's not being used properly because they're trying to play him like Derrick Henry a little bit, and he's not Derrick Henry. He's a speed back. He's a third down back. And he's just not getting the run he needs, I think, right now to be fully effective. So, yeah, it's awful. And I think it might take a coaching change. And I hate to say that because Vrabel has been really good for Tennessee. But, I mean, things just sometimes run their course. And unfortunately, I think it's run its course here.
I feel like it's like when Mike Mularkey couldn't, improve their team back in say 17. I feel like it's kind of stale. It's kind of like stale football. It's not bad tanking, but it's not good of hope.
Oh, yeah. And I think the moment that really sealed it for me, so it was late in the first half. The Titans were down by 10, and they were actually moving the ball for the first time all game. And they had gotten it into field goal range for Nick Folk, who has been basically the only real positive all year. We finally have a kicker for once. Too bad we don't have an offense to utilize it, but we have a kicker now. And we had one timeout left. We get tackled in bounds with 15 seconds. And Mike Vrabel called a timeout with 13 seconds left on the clock. And we come out next play, drop back to pass, and Myles Garrett immediately sacks Ryan Tannehill. And that's the end of the half. And we go to halftime with no points. And the only offensive drive of the game where they moved the ball. And that to me was so inexcusable. It was ridiculous. I was livid after that drive because you knew that your offense was struggling and you're going to put yourself in a position where you don't get any points. And they just never recovered from that mistake. So I think this game management has fallen apart because he used to be an amazing game manager, and right now, the game management skills have just been awful.
But also, Nick, I feel like the Titans never recovered from that AFC divisional loss at home. They never got over it.
Yeah,
Sadly, as it is.
There's a before and an after that loss, and this team has just been awful since it. So we'll just see how. I don't know when the next time it is they're going to be in that spot. I feel like it's going to be a very long time before they're truly competitive. But I mean, it's been a fun run. It's been a fun ride the past couple of years, and I can't wait until the Titans are contending again because I think it's going to be a couple of years. I think I'm going to have to buckle in and get ready for a tank and a rebuild. So I'm not particularly fond of that, but at least we got a lot of balls going into the league now. I can root for them. Maybe a team I should bandwagon with is the Miami Dolphins, though. 70 points on Denver. I don't know how any of the Denver defensive coaches still have a job today. First time since 1950 That an NFL team scored 70.
No, and also a team that bragged so many years about their defense. Broncos in the last, probably since like what 2015 is known for the defense. They won a Super Bowl based on a strong defense, and now all of that brand fell apart. All the brand, and if you saw that meme that Mike McDaniel's, or someone that looks like him went on a stands with the fans because the second half was done.
I mean, you know, I don't understand. Have you ever seen a situation where you fire a head coach, but then you bring him back a couple years later as your defensive coordinator? Because that's what the Broncos have done with Vance Joseph. And it's just an absolute disaster. It's not working at all. And I mean, it's just puzzling, completely puzzling. And, what's even more puzzling is that Russell Wilson got paid all that money to have a 59.9 QBR for 3 weeks.
And everybody wants the Broncos with Russell Wilson to be good, but if everybody was blaming the coach, everybody was blaming
Nathaniel
Nathaniel
Hackett.
Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett. Everybody was blaming him, and now everybody. And now I think, uh, I think right now the blame's going to be more on the players, and now it's going to be more on Russell.
Yeah, and at a certain point, if you're Denver, do you and can you cut ties with Russell Wilson if the time comes? Would anyone be willing to even take on that contract right now? Is there
Yeah,
a team? Well, I guess I can think of one team that would take a shot at Russell Wilson.
A team that plays at a stadium that is by the downtown.
There might be two teams actually, but they
Mm.
still play in only one stadium.
Oh, really? And both of those teams are from a city that Russell Wilson would love to live.
Yeah, just I don't understand why Denver ended up being the choice. It just has been an absolute train wreck. But yeah, on the other end,
And you talk about Russell Wilson, and you look at Seattle, and they're doing just fine. I mean, I think they're gonna fight for a wild card spot. They're not a great team, but because it's about who's winning the divorce. I think definitely.
Pete Carroll, easy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. With the first big breakup, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Tom won, and now it looks like the Pete Carroll's gonna win it.
Yeah, and it's the opposite of the Brady Belichick deal, where like Brady was able to go to Tampa and win a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson didn't work. If anything about Brady's the only one that's been able to make it work. Now, Aaron Rodgers, to be fair, got hurt in the fourth play, so we can't really judge him. Yeah, because we haven't had a real chance to see it. But Russell Wilson has failed. Peyton Manning was successful in his second team. Ended up winning a Super Bowl, won, set records, did a lot. But
And next Monday Night Football is gonna be. I just saw a meme. Just lit. It's gonna be. I mean, well, I think I don't know if it's next week or not, but Broncos and Bears. What a matchup.
yeah, I thankfully think that's not Monday Night Football now. Next week's Monday Night Football is Seahawks Giants.
Oh, okay.
So we got to watch the Giants. What I cannot stand the New York Giants on primetime football. They force
No.
us to watch the Giants on that primetime every week.
Yeah, and they don't have anything appealing to be on prime time. But is it weird that next week's prime time is gonna feature again both New York teams that has no appealing.
Yeah, oh yeah, Chiefs versus of course, obviously, you know why that was see, this is why they need to do it like college football and flex games out. I don't know why they set these schedules in week 1 when you don't know who's gonna get hurt. Like Chiefs Jets no longer is a primetime game. When Aaron Rodgers was
I, I,
healthy,
I,
yeah.
I felt bad for NBC promoting that game last night. They and the player they put up alongside Patrick Mahomes, I don't even know who that guy was, and and I feel bad because NFL really needs to flex the marquee games, the prime time
Yeah.
games.
You know what should be the game next week? It should be either Dolphins Bills or Ravens Browns.
That I mean, I think the Bills game should have been on Monday Night Football and the Dolphins game on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. I mean, heck, the London game is better than either one of those Sunday or Monday night games. Falcons Jaguars. I think that especially for a London game, that will be pretty good. I think.
No, and for the first time ever, Thursday Night Football is better than Sunday Night and Monday Night Football because it'll be interesting to watch because this game has a potential to be a kind of like a decider on the NFC North because the Packers are competitive. I don't know if Jordan Love is the quarterback of the future, but he's been competent. Yesterday, he was able to come back from a 16-point deficit and got the win for the Packers. And the Lions,
Yeah.
They also are a viable team this season.
You do have to wonder though if Derek Carr isn't hurt, do they come back and win still?
Yeah, but sometimes teams get breaks that you have to use it. Like, if Derek Carr didn't get hurt, probably the Saints would have won. Yeah, but the Packers capitalize on that break because the break is there, but you still have to capitalize. Not like he got hurt and the Packers, sat and didn't do anything to come back from that deficit.
Yeah, and honestly, I think probably most of two surprising results to me yesterday both involved the AFC South because I'm beginning to think the Colts might be the best team in the AFC South. Maybe.
Do you know who's the most pissed off NFL player right now?
I mean, it's got to be Andrew Luck. Well, I mean, he's
No,
in the league.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Because right now the Colts are doing so good, as you said, they might competing for the division with 2-1, and without their running back, that maybe Jonathan Taylor's stock, value is decreasing because like the Colts are good despite Jonathan Taylor, not because.
I mean, Zach Moss has been amazing.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, I picked them up in fantasy. They're not missing a beat at all, and they won with their backup quarterback in Baltimore.
So now the point is, with that example, is Jonathan Taylor that really necessary running back, or he's just a good player that want to be paid above average and no team want to pick him up? Not even the Colts.
Well, I mean, he's a good piece for any team. But
yeah, I'm not saying he's bad. What I'm saying is that Colts being good is shown that Jonathan Taylor is not that really necessary player that he wants to value as.
Yeah, he's not going to be the centerpiece of a team.
Yeah.
He just isn't. Because I think we are transitioning to an era where no running back's going to be a centerpiece. I think Derrick Henry was the last true centerpiece that you will ever see. And as we're seeing that era is coming to a screeching halt. Because it just is. Because running backs no longer can be the centerpiece of a team. I mean, Christian McCaffrey right now is probably the best running back in the league. But he's one of several great players on the 49ers.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Kyle Shanahan doesn't rely on McCaffrey to make the offense good. He's a piece on the good offense. He's not the piece in that offense.
Exactly. And that's how running backs are going to have to be used. I mean, you're just one of a committee.
Because right now running backs is more about like picking up 1-2 yards on a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and not much you're not gonna see running backs, making big plays or being the player that gets yards. Now it's a quarterback league more than ever.
Yeah, and I do feel kind of bad, at least in that game for Lamar Jackson, because it feels like all of his running backs are hurt, and he has like no help at all. I mean, his receivers are okay. Like Zay Flowers is pretty good, but it's just that offense around him is kind of crumbling. So I don't really know how the Ravens are gonna be competitive if they can't stop getting hurt.
Yeah.
Also, shout out CJ Stroud. I mean, 20 of 32, 82 touchdowns on the road in Jacksonville. I mean, very, very impressive. I mean, so far he is outshining Bryce Young by a country mile. Because I thought the first few weeks when I watched him, I didn't think he was that bad either. Then he was just under duress like the entire time, running for his life. But he was playing good. I mean, you got to remember this guy back to college last year dropped 41 on Georgia. I mean, no one else has come close to that in the last 2 years. Well, okay, Bryce Young did it a few years ago too. But Stroud doing it in Atlanta, basically in a road game, was very impressive to me, and I think he might be a legit quarterback. So, which makes it more imperative when you are the Titans looking at the landscape, because the Texans have a legit quarterback. I think the Colts have a legit quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Of course, we know the Jags have Trevor Lawrence. You're the only one right now with an old aging roster and an old aging quarterback.
And not only you are with Ryan Tannehill, but how about the quarterback that you picked from the draft last year? Like, you can't compare Will Levis with C.J. Stroud, with not even Anthony Richardson.
Well, I want to give him a chance first before I completely write him off, but I anticipate him not being very good.
So if you wanna do that, and if the team maybe around mid-season get into, I'll say like a 3-6 or a 2-7, so why won't you use Will Levis to see if he is a really good quarterback they can rely on? Because if not, then if you ended up tanking, then you can think about using the assets that are coming through this draft.
Yeah, so the trade deadline is Halloween afternoon. So the end of next month. So they have a couple of weeks to decide whether or not they're going to just completely go wholesale tank.
Yeah,
By then, you'll have 8 games by then. So if you are 3-5 or worse, I think you got to tank.
Yeah, 3-5, 2-6.
Yeah, I think they'll have no issue being in that range.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the Titans really needs to make a decision.
Yeah. Also, who else really needs to make a decision is the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know. Did you see the end of Sunday Night Football last night? Because holy cow.
Josh McDaniels, really? That choice? Really? Really?
I mean, you're down 8. It's 23-15. There's 3 minutes left. So first there was a 4th and 1 that the Raiders commit a false start. Okay, that's not on Josh McDaniels. But 4th and 6, still convertible, not impossible. 3 minutes left. You have all 3 timeouts. You send the field goal team on for no reason. And then the Steelers commit a penalty. Give you another set of fresh downs. You go for 3 more plays. You're at a 4th and 4 from the Steelers' 8. You're within the 10-yard line. So even if you don't get it with 2:25 left in the game, you still have all 3 timeouts, and they're within the 10-yard line. And it's a 1-possession game because a field goal takes it from a 8-point game to a 5-point game. And Josh McDaniels decided to kick the field goal for no reason, and then they kicked the ball off. Didn't even onside kick it. They kicked the ball off, and the Steelers ran out the clock. And also, too, think about this. So the Steelers get the ball back with 2:20 left. in the game. So there's free timeouts. You have a 2-minute warning coming, and the Raiders used 2 of their free timeouts before the 2-minute warning. So when the Steelers got a first down, they only had 1 timeout left, and they were done. I don't know what Josh McDaniels was doing. And it's a shame because basically the Raiders are Devontae Adams. And, that's it. Devontae Adams is incredible and basically has no help.
I guess if Josh McDaniels stinks at Raiders, we can say that he can be a good coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. Because look what he did in Denver.
Yeah.
I guess
how he did Indianapolis.
Yeah.
There's just not a guy that you can trust to be your organizational leader, especially one that can't make good decisions. And also, I didn't put this on the line liner, but the luckiest man on earth today is Brandon Staley. If the Chargers, so I don't know if you saw that, Gus, where they went for it on 4th and 1 from their own 24.
Yeah.
What? And they didn't get it. Gave the Vikings the ball in their red zone, basically, and they got 4. Oh wow! So the Bengals were driving inside the 30-yard line, and Joe Burrow threw an interception. So now the Rams get the ball back down a touchdown. Wow! But anyway, so the Vikings get the ball back in. Kirk Cousins ends up throwing a interception on the goal line. And talk about a game of where someone had to win, Chargers-Vikings. The Chargers' go-ahead touchdown was literally a dropped interception by the Vikings bouncing into the hands of Joshua Palmer. This was a hilarious ending to watch.
No. Vikings-Chargers was the kind of game that it makes angry that a win in the NFL sometimes win has the same value as other win. I'm trying to say is that no team on that game should have been awarded a 1 win on that column. Should have been both get 1 loss.
Yeah, and Brandon Staley every single week with this guy, just the stupidest decisions possible to lose games.
And the question is, when Justin Herbert is going to realize that his potential has been wasted on a coach that keeps doing stupid decisions?
I bet he's already realizing it, but he just signed a big contract, so he's stuck in LA.
But he can demand a trade, or
Yeah, well, I guess there's 2 teams in New York who would definitely like to take on Justin Herbert. I think there's 2 teams that would like to convince Caleb Williams to go to the NFL right now and help them out. So, and speaking of that New York Jets, our good friend Joe Namath went on sports radio today and demanded that Zach Wilson be traded and called him pathetic. So, it's quite interesting to see Joe Namath just come out and just openly just bash Zach Wilson.
Oh. No, I saw it. First shout out to my friend Claudio Miro Pedro in Limeira. I think he's saying that he's on the air conditioner. Oh my God. I'm really, when the pod is over, I'm going to my room because I want air conditioner too. But I think Joe Namath is probably exaggerating. I think Zach Wilson should stay this season. If you want to trade him next year, maybe, but right now, so you want to trade the other quarterback that is viable for what? What can you get that is going to make a difference? But because right now you can't get a big brand quarterback because you still have Aaron Rodgers in your roster. He's injured, but you can't get someone big because imagine what kind of drama New York would have get. You can't.
Oh yeah, the whole thing's just massive drama because you swung and missed for Aaron Rodgers, and that was the big swing in his Achilles tore. So the whole thing has just been an absolute nightmare. so far for New York. So, it's a quick update in Cincinnati. Rams have the ball down a touchdown, 16-9. The Cincinnati Bengals lead. For all the talk about Cincinnati's offense not looking any good, the Rams also 0-7 on third down so far for the Los Angeles Rams. So definitely not the offensive old. They won the one title a couple of years ago against the Rams, and DJ Reader once again getting to the quarterback. Actually, that was Trey Hendrickson for the Cincinnati Bengals. So just an absolute nightmare for the Los Angeles Rams on the road in Cincinnati. Shout out to Claude Miro. Talking about Lymira. I'm not completely sure how they're doing, but I know Gus knows. He'll be back here in just a second. So whole thing is quite interesting, and I guess I think it's time to pick some Week 4.
Sounds good. I was just turning on my air conditioner because it's so hot right now. But so let's get going. So Thursday night football. I'm gonna pick Detroit in Lambeau.
I'm actually going to take Green Bay.
I mean, I think it's the first real challenge for Jordan Love, a divisional rival at home.
Yeah, we'll see if he passes.
Now, the first London game, and but speaking of which, before we pick the London game, have you seen that one of the senior vice presidents of the NFL is considering more than ever Brazil as one of the international games destination for the
They
future?
should. They absolutely should. And plus, you can play that at the same time as most American games as well. So you can fit it right in like a glove.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I definitely would love to see the NFL being played in Brazil, but uh, London's gonna host another NFL game in Wembley Stadium, the Twin Towers, as the Jacksonville Jaguars, or some of them say London Jaguars, played the Atlanta Falcons. I'm giving the Falcons.
I'll go Jags. I'll go Jaguars. I fully intend to watch this game on the Toy Story mode that they have been advertising for like a month now. So have they been advertising that in Brazil, Gus?
What?
So okay, on Disney Plus during this game, because this game is on ESPN Plus, on Disney Plus, they're going to be doing a reenactment of the entire game as it's happening using Toy Story characters.
No, I haven't seen anything here. It's a
Yeah, that
different
might it
kind
might
of.
just be it might just be a US thing. So um it's a very they have been obnoxiously advertising it for like weeks now in the US. So
Yeah. In Brazil, not much talk about it, but interesting. I mean, there was the Nickelodeon effect. It's I guess an interesting idea, but as on the field, I think the Falcons. I mean, the Jaguars. I just don't trust the team.
yeah, they clearly have some work to do. Now, granted, they got off to a slow start last year, but they can get it going. I think. I still think they had the most consistent talent across the roster, but man, I'm starting to think they're not going to run away with the division. So we'll see what they do. Maybe going across the pond to their other home will help them get going.
So now the 1 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Brazil time slot. Uh, you said it. I think that's going to be the best game of the day. The 3-0 Dolphins going to Oaker Park in Buffalo, New York to pay the bills. And I think that's one of the games for the division. I think give me the Dolphins.
I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to. I know they just scored 70, but Miami struggled in Buffalo, and I think the Bills. They just had an absolutely dominant performance of their own. Um, 37 to I think it was 37 nothing against the Commanders. So give me the Bills.
Oh boy, and I'm gonna leave this game for last, but or I guess right now, like I'll call this the awful, terrible bowl game. The 0-3 Broncos going to Soldier Field to play the 0-3 Bears.
Is there any way this can end as a tie?
Oh my God! If that happens, then both teams should just concede the season.
Yeah, but seriously though, I'll take the Broncos. I think the Broncos will. I think the Bears are the worst team in the NFL. Um, there's serious questions about Justin Fields. I mean, they're just not competitive. I thought they would be competitive this year, Gus, and they're just not. They're getting blown out in every game.
Yeah, I feel bad for Justin Fields because he ended up on a team with a defensive mindset and he can't find a way to save it.
Yeah.
So next one is a little bit better. The 2-1 Ravens going to Cleveland to play the Browns.
I'm going to take Cleveland.
I think Cleveland covers the spread because now it's a minus 2.5. It's going to be by a one field goal difference.
I could definitely see that for sure. That defense at home is scary for Cleveland.
Oh, this next game is going to bring Nicholas Hill bad memories because it's the rematch of the 2021 AFC divisional round game as the 1-2 Titans host the as of right now 0-2, but might be 1-2 Cincinnati Bengals. What do you make
You know
of
what
this
this game
game,
is
Nick?
like? You know what this so like the Bengals, so like the Titans in 2021 were like a gazelle flying for the forest. Joe Burrow took his shotgun and shot us in the side, and we have been wounded and taking more and more hits. And now the Titans are near dead, and Joe Burrow's come back and can put in the final shot through the pellet, through the shot through the hide here. I think the Bengals win and win big because I think they're starting to get it going a bit. They're moving the ball a lot better here in the second half. They just took a 10-point lead. They're starting to figure it out. So I think the Bengals will come into Nashville and get to back to 500, assuming they hold on to win here while the Titans begin their descent into purgatory.
And next game on the 1 p.m. Eastern time slot, 2 p.m. Brazil time, the 2-1 Indianapolis Colts playing the 1-1, might be 1-2 Los Angeles Rams. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, I know the Rams this year. I think they're going to be average. They're going to be 9-8 or like 10-6, 10-7, but I don't know. Like, but still, give me the Colts.
I'll agree. Give me the Colts.
The next one, the New Orleans Saints, possibly without Derek Carr hosting the 2-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give me the Bucks.
Give me the Saints. I still like the Saints defense, and they'll have Alvin Kamara back.
Another 1 p.m. game in America, 2 p.m. Brazil. The 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles hosting the 2-1 Washington Commanders. Give me Philly.
Philly.
Oh my God, like we make fun of the Bears and Broncos game, but how about this one? The 0-3 Carolina Panthers hosting the 0-3 Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, I gotta know. Do the Panthers and the Bears play at some point this year? That's probably the two worst teams in the league. Oh yeah. Oh my! It's a Thursday night game. Yeah, on November the 9th. The Panthers at the Bears.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Why is that a primetime game? Oh my! That's the only time the Panthers are on. Well, okay, they were on primetime last week, but that's the only time they're on primetime the rest of the year is at Chicago. I don't understand that at all. Oh my god! Can they flex that game off? Wow.
NFL really needs to find a way to flex games, like set up time for the first 3 weeks and then flex it out.
Yeah, if college can do it, NFL can do it. There's no excuse. But Minnesota, I'll take the Vikings here. I know they're 0-3, but I still think they're a better team.
Since it's not a primetime game, give me the Vikings.
Hmm.
And the last 1 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Brazil time slot game, the 1-2 Houston Texans playing against the 2-1 Pittsburgh Steelers at NRG Stadium. Mm, I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I don't know if they're gonna cover. I don't know if they're gonna cover the line or not. I don't know. I think it's gonna be by 1 or 2 points.
I'm gonna be honest. The Texans have been pleasantly surprising so far. I'm going to go with the upset because I think the Steelers' offense right now is really bad. I don't think Kenny Pickett's getting it done, and yeah, you win the Texans.
Now the 5 o'clock games. The West Coast uh, game between Las Vegas Raiders going to California to play the Los Angeles Chargers, but with probably the majority of the fans being the Raider fans.
God, and the Galaxy Brain coaching staffs here. We got Josh McDaniels versus Brandon Staley in this
Who's
game.
going to make stupider decisions? It's going to be the Stupider Decisions Bowl.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I think Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously he's hurt right now with the concussion, but he wasn't playing well anyway. I think the Chargers will win.
Um, Next one, it's it's a I'm not saying it's big game, but always interesting. The 2-1 Dallas Cowboys playing the 1-2 New England Patriots.
I'll go Cowboys.
Yeah, that's the kind of games Dallas gonna thrive and kind of makes deluge the fans. Give me the Cowboys. The 49ers, 3-0 49ers, go hosting the 1-2 Cardinals. Even though the Cardinals had a great win last week, give me the 49ers.
Nah, Niners.
Sunday Night Football, the 1-2 New York Jets playing the 2-1 Kansas City Chiefs. The only person who's happy that this game's a Sunday Night Football in New York is Taylor Swift because now she has a reason to go to New York to spend the weekend with her boyfriend, and they can do whatever they want, and he's still gonna play great because the Jets probably not gonna do anything to stop him.
Yeah, and they can swoop into Philly right down the road and visit Jason Kelsey and his family as well. So, hey, hey, this is why she wrote "Welcome to New York" in 1989. But yeah, Chiefs will win easy. In an alternate universe, we'd be sitting here this week talking about Patrick Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers, and that just makes me very sad to think about that. Gus, that next getting ready to watch. What would be an incredible quarterback matchup, and we're just not getting that in this one.
Yeah, fortunately, the gods of football did not want this matchup.
Absolutely. And final
Monday
one
night,
is
Monday Night Football, awful, terrible. The 1-2 Giants hosting the 2-1 Seahawks. The line is -1, 1.5 for New York, but give me the Seahawks.
I'll be honest, I actually kind of like the Giants here. I mean, I didn't think they played too bad at San Francisco, and it's always really tough, you know, to go cross country. I like the Giants.
Yeah, so now we've made our NFL picks as the Monday Night Football game is rolling out, and the Bengals has a 10-point lead over the Rams.
Absolutely. Let's get into some college football. And
Yeah.
for the Vols, I'll say this: I was very pleased with the first half of the game. I didn't really like the second half, but you know what? I only picked us to win by 10 points in this game because I was very not happy with obviously the week before. But hey, Vols did what a top 25 team should do. A team like UTSA beat them 45-14. To be fair to the Roadrunners, they didn't have their quarterback and Frank Harris. I think it would have been a completely different football game. But hey, you'll take what you can get. And Vols go to 3-1. I think the biggest storyline is Milton Hurt. He kind of got bent up during this game. He kept on playing, but he didn't look the same after he got bent up late in the second half. And it led to a lot of people really demanding Nico to get some playing time. He got some playing time late in the fourth quarter, but in any case, all eyes now turn to Saturday night in Neyland, where the Vols are breaking out the dark mode. We're going all black because it's time to try to enact some revenge against the South Carolina Gamecocks, the team that ruined our season last year, ruined our chance to go to the playoffs. Um, and now they come to Neyland at 2-2, um, and they're looking for a win that would be just massive for their season. And whoever loses this game between South Carolina and Tennessee, it would be a devastating loss for that team.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's at least you have to win it. And I'm not saying whoever is gonna win the division, but at least this game's gonna be like for your chance to be on a New Year's Six bowl.
Well, I don't even know if necessarily even that. I think this is just more of a for pecking order, just for momentum. Because I think whoever loses this game, if you lose this game, you are staring down the barrel of having a really bad season for either team. I think both teams have to have this win. Because South Carolina already lost to UNC, and of course they lost to UGA. But I thought they played well against UGA. If I am South Carolina, I'm really nervous about the pass defense because they gave up 487 yards passing last week to Miss State, who decided all of a sudden to revert back to the air raid. I think they realized that's what that team is built for right now, until at least they get some new players and some new schemes. But Lightertrick Griffin had 256 yards receiving on South Carolina. Now, the question is, can Tennessee do something similar? And I don't think that answer is necessarily yes. Right now, the passing game's just been too wonky this year. It just hasn't gotten into any flow. I mean, against UTSA, we only threw for 209. Granted, we had 303 yards rushing. But I think the weakness clearly of this Carolina team is their pass defense. Now, on the opposite side, of course, we all know remember what Spencer Rattler did to us last year. He just absolutely abused Tennessee, leading the Gamecocks to 63 points. I think he had, 6 touchdown passes, 600 yards passing. Just could not miss. I have watched him in person surgically tear us apart last year in Columbia, South Carolina. And to be fair, he is doing, I think, just as good, if not better, this year with far less help. He no longer has Marshawn Lattimore. He's lost a lot of his top receivers. His offensive line is awful. I mean, both UNC and Georgia, he took a beating. And I think that's the key. Our front seven has to get him on the ground early and often. I don't want him getting comfortable. He should be uncomfortable. He's coming into Neyland Stadium at night when we're wearing black. We have to get him on the ground. We can't let him get comfortable. If he gets comfortable, we're going to be in some trouble, especially if our offense starts, rapidly going free and out in 20 seconds. Um, so if we're not careful, the thing could spiral out of control again.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Spencer Rattler have to be really made uncomfortable and be pushed and be really, really, tough.
Yeah. Here's what I really want to see this week. Dylan Sampson, he had the most carries this past week. Had 11 carries for 139. Was amazing. Of course, that was one of my complaints last week that he got literally no touches at all in Florida for reasons I still don't completely understand. He's got to see the football in this game. You got to give it to him at least a couple of times. He's too good of a playmaker for him not to have the football. And he's the guy right now with the ball in his hands that I trust to make something. Because I don't trust our receivers necessarily because I think they've struggled immensely throughout the first part of the season. And I think it's completely all on them. I think there's just a kind of a trust issue between them and Milton necessarily throwing the football. And something that I don't know if necessarily putting in Nico would fix. And of course, we had a long discussion whether or not we should put in Nico or not. I don't think we're at that point.
No,
Surely.
definitely not.
But I'll say this: if Joe Milton goes out there and struggles this week and we lose, the bye week next week will be very long, and with all the talking points, because there'll be a lot of people screaming for Nico to get ready in the bye week.
I'm just worried. Don't rush the kid. Don't rush the kid. That's
Yeah,
all I'm asking. Don't rush the kid.
yeah, and but I really hope we come out not scared. We come out aggressive. We come out with an energy of we want revenge. And I expect the crowd to be absolutely bananas. Nighttime game. I think there's a 50-50 chance of like mustard bottles flying and stuff. I mean, it should be like a riotous atmosphere. That's just because that Shane Beamer is probably the most annoying coach in college football, and I cannot stand him.
Oh yeah,
So
but give me the Vols.
I like the Vols too, but I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close. I'll go 38-35. I think
So
yeah,
the
I think we'll
Vols
cover the
definitely
spread.
not cover the spread.
No, I think 11.5 is a wild spread. We haven't proven that we're that much better than South Carolina up to this point, but hopefully we do. Anyway, some college football recap this past week. Ohio State, what a game! Ohio State Notre Dame. We watched this together at the
Together.
end. Yeah, did not expect Ohio State to be able to just kind of pound it away to a touchdown there in the end, but they were able to win 17-14. And Ryan Day, what about that rant he went on about Lou Holtz? Because Lou Holtz called his team soft, but he was out there humiliating Lou Holtz on his home turf. Um, that was a big move for Ryan Day, a huge win for Ryan Day,
Definitely,
sure.
definitely.
But Marcus
I mean,
Freeman, what? Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like that game probably saved for now his job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but he's got to win on that Saturday after Thanksgiving in Ann Arbor.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
for
That's
sure.
the only game Ohio State fans really, at the end of the day, truly care about. If they lose that game for the third straight year, you're done. Uh, Marcus Freeman, though, I still don't understand why they only had 10 men on the field on the final play. I mean, because I know he said, well, we were afraid of getting a penalty, but you knew you didn't have enough players in the field and gave yourself no chance. That would sever my trust in him completely if I were a Notre Dame fan, because that's inexcusable.
Mm.
Like you're coaching big time college football and you don't know if you have enough players or not.
That was kind of like a rookie mistake that a Notre Dame coach, should not make it.
Yeah, just unreal. And Notre Dame, yeah, they got a tough road ahead of them as well on College Game Day again this week at Duke. Speaking of another team that kind of got humbled, Colorado. Of course, they have been the story of college football so far. They just got ran out of stadium by Oregon. Wasn't even close, 42-6. Oregon, unfortunately for them, was the first complete team they played, and without Travis Hunter, you could just tell the skill and the depth in the trench was just not close. And now USC comes to town. And I'm going to be honest, I think USC also will take care of business in Boulder. Although I think it'll be closer than what we saw the other day. Because I think Shedeur Sanders and Colorado can move the ball up and down the field on USC. But I don't think their defense is going to be able to do anything with Caleb Williams and company.
I feel like that loss, that Colorado loss was expected. Again, they played TCU with a way different roster than last year, and a Nebraska team that I know Matt Rule's a great coach, but he has to fix a lot of mess. But I think what Colorado fans should aim is to make the game competitive, at least compete on the field, not be steamroll like this Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember the week before they had to go to double overtime against Colorado State. I mean, everyone was acting like that was like the most amazing game in the history of college football, but it wasn't impressive. Let's just be real. So they have a huge task ahead of them. Shout out Florida State. Finally beat Clemson on the road in OT. Clemson effectively is eliminated from the playoffs. 4 weeks into the season at 2-2. I mean, think about it. Their two losses are both ACC losses to Duke and Florida State. So they're not going to get into the ACC title game more than likely. I think for Dabo Swinney, he's got to seriously consider changing up his approach. He's got to go to the transfer portal because he isn't going to succeed anymore with his philosophy.
And, he has to adapt or die.
Yeah, adapt or die. Exactly. Speaking of adapting or dying, Lane Kiffin still, even with Alabama's quarterback issues, still cannot beat him. Can't even come close to beating him. I'm sorry, but Lane Kiffin's the most overrated coach in the country.
Oh, yeah, for
I have a little bit of bias because obviously I am a Tennessee fan, but still, Lane Kiffin can go kick rocks. He doesn't win big games, and Nick Saban owns him. And
that's for sure.
Yeah, he just doesn't coach quarterbacks well. I think Jackson Dart can't throw the football. And speaking of not being able to coach any offense, Brian Ferentz, I mean, needs 25 points a game in Iowa, and they can only get 76 yards of offense against Penn State in a 31-0 shutout loss. I feel like if I'm an Iowa fan, I'm literally rooting for us to get shut out in most games because I want a new offense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
Iowa, imagine on the Iowa State game. I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, Iowa can't compete.
Well, I mean, Iowa already did play and beat them 2013.
Yeah, so I guess that game don't only matter. But the Rams made the game close back in Cincy.
Oh yeah, so
3 points.
So they're gonna have to try an onside kick here. Also, shout out that Arkansas LSU game. I know you watched.
Wow, what a game! What a game! If Arkansas did not commit that many penalties, they probably would have won that game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Arkansas is just super undisciplined. Such an undisciplined football team, and they got what they deserved. Playing around like that. Also, in terms of God, hold on. There's a game I want to talk about real quick. That come on. Okay, Virginia Tech. Going into Marshall last week, they were 5.5-point underdogs, and they lost by a touchdown. So Marshall covered in a 7-point win. They were 5.5-point favorites. Virginia Tech is in hell right now.
I feel bad for the Hokies.
I mean, they got literally blown up by Rutgers last week. Their only win this year has been Old Dominion. I mean, they are awful. Just so bad. They might go 1-11.
I mean, the state of Virginia, I feel bad. No, the Cavaliers and the Hokies.
Yeah, so Bengals get the onside kick. They'll win 19-16. Joe Burrow finally gets a win on the season. So yeah, but anyway, Virginia Tech, that's just sad to watch. Shout out Louisville too, 4-0. 4-0 for the Fighting Cardinals. Um, I don't know, they might be good. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's their competition.
Yeah,
But
I would imagine that's the best start after Lamar Jackson left.
yeah, I would think so. I think it's by far their best start in a very, very long time. All right, so week five. Um, in terms of potential underrated games, potential upsets, um, I think an interesting one here in terms of upset alert. Give me West Virginia over TCU. I think West Virginia, has been highly disrespected all season. People saying, they might be the worst team in the Power Five. No, I think legitimately they're a somewhat decent team. I like the Mountaineers over TCU.
My under my upset alert is Syracuse beating Clemson.
Oh, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Syracuse is
They're
is
4-0 right now. They're 4-0, and Clemson lost both their ACC games.
yeah. I think also too in terms of an underrated matchup. Um, if you want to see some fireworks, hold on, what game was it? I totally lost what I was going to talk about.
No, the underrated games.
Yeah, I think well, Louisville NC State I think is going to be a pretty interesting game on Friday night.
My underrated game is James Madison hosting South Alabama. South Alabama coming off a really big win against Oklahoma State. James Madison undefeated. I don't know.
That'll be a good game. Now, if you want the exact opposite, we talked about Bears Broncos. If you want the absolute worst that college football has to offer, turn it over to the CW network on 2 p.m. on Saturday because you have UVA 0-4 going to Boston College at 1-3.
Question: Is James Madison the best college football team in the state of Virginia?
Yes.
Wow. And they were
Not even
FCS
close. It's not close.
and they were a FCS team a couple of years ago.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's pick some football games because we both picked Tennessee to beat Carolina. All right. Kansas, a top 25 team and undefeated, going to number 3 Texas.
Really painful to say this. I really love the Jayhawks. My best friend went to KU. I've been there. It's a great, great school. I have a lot of friends there, but give me the Longhorns.
I agree, Longhorns. We're not going to get a repeat of the last time that Kansas was in Austin.
Yeah, the team is very different.
Yes. All right. In Corvallis, Utah, still undefeated, going to Oregon State. I'm going to be honest. I like Utah. I think Oregon State kind of was very disappointing last week.
Yeah, give me Oregon State.
Ooh, okay, so we disagree there. USC, Colorado. I think USC.
Oh yeah, USC. Let's see. I am just trying to find the line. No, I think USC does not cover the line. They won by 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
I think they win like 55 to like 28. So they actually might cover. Okay, college game day week. Notre Dame at Duke.
The first time ever they're going to Durkin.
Yeah, Durham for the first time in
Durham.
football.
Yeah, football. I
They've
mean
been there a lot for
basketball.
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, they were joking last week on air. Like, college basketball game day has been many, many, many times, but football first time. Man, give me Duke.
I agree. Give me Duke. I think Notre Dame is going to be coming off an upset or coming off that heartbreaker. I don't think they're going to be in the right mindset.
You know, this game reminds me of last year after the Ohio State loss. They lost to Marshall.
I could see that.
Yeah, so now after
But Duke is way better than that, though.
no, but I mean taking a big loss, always affects you on the next week.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I think it's going to be hard for them to really become in focused. And then the game of the week, the Magnolia Bowl between Ole Miss and LSU. I'm going to go, and this game I believe is in Oxford, but I like LSU.
Yeah, the game is at Van Gogh Hemingway Stadium. Um, give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin I think needs this one. He needs that big one because if he can't beat LSU at home, yeah, that's gonna lots of tough questions. I think are going to start circulating in Oxford about whether or not he truly is the guy. Anyway, so we'll see what happens in Week 5 of college football. Go Vols, and please, for the love of God, beat the Chickens. Please beat the Chickens, because I
Yeah,
can't take
revenge
losing
for
State.
we need that revenge. We need that revenge.
Do it for Hendon. Do it for Hendon.
Yeah.
Um, I'll just quote two last quick notes. Braves won their 100th game. It's just an incredible season. Of course, the clock is ticking closer and closer. I believe this time next week we'll have MLB postseason
Yeah, it's
matches.
October baseball next week. It's October baseball.
Absolutely. So we'll have to go into all things postseason
Uh,
next week in baseball.
Yesterday I felt bad. I watched the Giants Dodgers game, and boy, I felt bad for the Giants because last night they lost on a walk off hit, and their chances of getting to the playoffs practically with that loss yesterday practically are none. The Padres or Giants have 0.1% chance of making it. So probably I think the last two spots for the wild card is going to be the Diamondbacks and the Cubs.
Yeah, and the Cubs, I mean, it's been a great comeback story for them this year. So,
But
and of
I
course,
feel bad
Miami,
for
they're still in too.
yeah. Even though they're still in the fight for the playoffs, they draw such a bad attendance. Like last week, they were like less than 10,000 fans.
Yeah, and then the Reds too. The Reds are right there. Um, and then over on the American League side, the Astros, man, they are on they're teetering right now.
Yeah, the fight for
Can
the
the
division.
Mariners take them out?
Yeah, the fight for the AL West is wild. I mean, the Texas Rangers, they made a push for the season. They went aggressive on the free agency, on the trade deadline, and it's finally paying off.
Absolutely, but we'll see if it really pays off come the postseason. So I know you said you have the Diamondbacks and the Cubs over there in the National League. I think actually I could see the Diamondbacks choking. Give me the Cubs and the Marlins to make the NL.
Wow.
And then I'm going to have Blue Jays and Astros. I would love to see the Seattle take out the Astros, but
Yeah, they're a half point difference right now. They're half a point game differential.
yeah, just insane to think that we could be in the world where Houston misses the playoffs. So
Yeah, and currently they are playing right now, and the Astros are up by 5 on the bottom of the 8.
yeah, so we literally have a whole series going on right now.
Yeah. And the Yankees won a game that didn't mean anything. I mean, now the Yankees are officially eliminated. How disappointing that the New York Yankees made such a push this season for being one of the worst teams in their conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute failure when you have the resources they have. And just how crazy is it that it's the Yankees and the Red Sox at the bottom?
Yeah, it just shows that baseball right now is not about money and it's not about the big brands. It's about being smart. Baltimore,
Right.
Tampa Bay are owning the American League East. They're owning it.
Man, the Angels are a prime example. Like, they have the two best players in all of baseball, and they can't do anything. They can't do squat. And someone's about to overpay handsomely for Shohei Ohtani, a guy that's not going to be able to pitch anymore.
Yeah, he's like this really generational talent, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the body to keep up with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible. He's going to have to become just a standard hitter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be very fascinating to see where he ends up. I think it'll be somewhere in the West Coast. Just some quick NASCAR talk. William Byron wins at Texas. He's on to the round of 8. And I feel awful for Bubba Wallace. Awful for Bubba Wallace. He had the best car yesterday, was on the pole, had the race basically won, kind of got screwed over by some cautions and couldn't hold on. And Kyle Larson was his best challenger, but he was trying to pass Bubba, and he spun out and crashed himself. So, but for those guys, going to have to fight their way into the next round. Next up is Talladega, one of the craziest tracks in the schedule. Complete wild card as to who wins there. But that's all the American sports that I've got. What's going on in Brazil? Because I know we are deep into Cup time and deep into the Brazilian Championship.
Yeah, but first of all, I would like to congratulate São Paulo Football Club winning the Brazilian Cup. That was the last title São Paulo did not have. They're the 3-time world champions, 3-time South American champions, 6-time Brazilian championship champions, 22 times state champion. Never won the Brazilian Cup. Yesterday, they finally did it at home in front of their 61,000 passionate fans that paid really, really expensive to be there. The revenue in terms of ticket sales for that game, record 24 million reais. But they deserve. I mean, São Paulo did not play tremendous soccer. They play a greatish game. But, Flamengo's just a mess. Flamengo, they're all over the place, It's like what Gabigol said. They plant, but they try to they didn't harvest, so they didn't plant, so they didn't harvest. They weren't there. Their mind weren't there. You could see that the talent was there, but their mind wasn't. Their spirit wasn't. São Paulo was all spirit was there. Of course, Flamengo gave it a scare to São Paulo fans. They scored first with Bruno Henrique, but like 4 minutes later, São Paulo tied the game with a beautiful shot by Rodrigo Nestor, and the second half they just controlled the game and got the title. And congratulations, Dorival Jr. I don't know if you remember, he was the coach that was fired by Flamengo after winning the Libertadores and the Brazilian Cup. And he was there coaching São Paulo, winning the cup against Flamengo. What a revenge story.
Yeah, and Flamengo just continues to be just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Disaster, trophyless, organizational mess.
And they're gonna have to pay another coach buyout. Almost $3 million of dollars, not saying reais, dollars. $3 million buyout for Sampaoli because he's gonna leave. He's not gonna stay. I mean, in a press conference, he say, "I'm not quitting. I'm not resigning. I'm staying." So it's gonna be up to Flamengo to see what they want to do. But as they always do since the dynasty started, running coach after coach after coach, and then when Sampaoli leaves, all the talk's gonna be, is Jorge Jesus gonna come back? Is he coming back to Flamengo? And then he's gonna be like giving hints and maybe traveling to Rio and giving interviews and kind of trying to pursue, but like not really. Flamengo is just a mess. I mean, there was even calls for impeachment of Flamengo president. Also, Flamengo, GM Marcos Braz needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. Now, he fought with fans. He has been fighting with players, running through coaches. He needs to be fired.
Yeah, totally. It's just been an absolute nightmare and disaster. I just don't understand how they're even as competitive as they have been. Like,
and
it,
key players' contracts are expiring. Bruno Henrique, the guy who scored a goal yesterday, his contract is up for is up. His contract ends by December this year. Palmeiras, I think, is gonna get him. He's not gonna stay. I don't know if Gabigol's gonna stay. Flamengo reached to not tank, but really rebuild. Trying to find new players because the ones that are there, they're not really there. But congratulations to Sao Paulo winning the Brazilian Cup. They did not have the best team, the best talent, but boy, they had a lot of heart on it. Boy, they were the most invested team on that final. I was lucky enough to be in their second game on their campaign against Ituano. I was on the field when they scored, so I kind of feel a little bit part of that journey. But congratulations to Sao Paulo to winning the Brazilian Cup finally. Brazilian Championship week 24. Botafogo fans are kind of scared because Botafogo suffer their third consecutive loss. They still have a good lead over Palmeiras, 44 points to 51. So it's a 7-point lead. But, three consecutive losses, only one win in 5 games. Should Botafogo fans be scared?
yeah. You kind of called this, right? Like, they're going to have to make it to about game 30 with the lead they had to be in a really good spot. And it seems like they're kind of
Yeah.
teetering on the edge of not being in that spot.
Yeah. Their third three losses were games that are losable, 2 games on the road, Corinthians and Atlético Mineiro, hard environments. And Flamengo is always a derby, is always like a really big matchup. But now I think they have a 4 streak games. They really need to at least win 2 and tie 1, to say the least. They need to get out of those 12 points. They need to get at least 7, at least 7. Like they play
Oh, yeah.
Goiás at home, Fluminense road-ish, it's a classic in Rio, so it's a 50-50 fan, stadium fan. América Mineiro is just a disaster there in the bottom, and Atlético Paranaense at home. I think Botafogo needs to beat Goiás, beat América Mineiro, tie with Fluminense, and Atlético Paranaense. If they win, they should win, but I think that game is going to be tied. So Botafogo probably is going to be 8 on the next 12, but I don't know. Botafogo fans are always scared because there's a thing here that Botafogo fans are always Botafogo fans are the fans that need to be seeing a psychologist because they always think there's a conspiracy against them or they think something always going to go bad. So we'll see what happens in Brazilian championship. Is just to wrap up. Paulista under 33 we've been following all season. Even though Rio Branco was eliminated, their championship move on and they're in the finals. Catanduva União São João, they tied in game 1, 0-0. So game 2, the decisive game next week in Araras. Wow, that's it for Two Countries, Two Americas, all sports after dark edition.
Absolutely. The After Dark edition. Shout out to the Pac-12, the only podcast that talks about both the American and Brazilian sports. Gustavo Tomazeli down in Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm Nicholas Sill from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the United States. And thank you for listening to Two Countries, Two Americas, all sports. Have a great night.